بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب زدني علما.
So the next thing, we'll start installing the certificates. We'll start with the vManage, and then after that, we'll get into the vMon and the vSmart. We'll register them, and we'll also do the certificate process in that. So if you remember, there will be a couple of different options to get the certificates for the controllers. So in our scenario, we'll be using the enterprise root CA. So in our scenario, as per our pre-configured setup, we have a Windows Server 2016 running the CA services. And this is going to provide the certificates signed for all the controllers. Okay, so in order to do that, first we'll start with a vManage. So in the vManage, what are the steps? Now, if you remember, we discussed if you're using enterprise CA, then the first step, we need to add the root certificate. So in the enterprise CA, we must add the root certificate on the vManage. That will be the enterprise root. And for that, we need to go to the CA and download the root certificate. And probably this certificate we have to copy, or we have to add this inside the vManage. So this is going to be the first step if I divide the complete process in 3 steps. And once I do this, the next step, what we'll do is we'll be generating the CSR. Now the second step, the vManage is going to create its CSR, certificate sign-in request. And we need to tell the CA that, hello CA, can you please sign this certificate and send it back to me? So we need to generate this CSR, and then we need to request the CA server to sign. And once it verifies or signs, then again the CA is going to issue this. Of course, this process is something we'll be doing manual. So it's something like I'm sending my own documents, and I'm asking the CA to verify them and send it back with your signature. So that is what we call it as identity certificate of the vManage. So the process is similar for other devices as well, other controllers, probably, but everything we do from the vManage. And finally, once you get this certificate, once the CS server issues the certificate, now what you have to do is you need to download this and install this. So we need to download this certificate, and then we need to install this certificate inside the vManage. Because whenever this vManage is going to communicate with other devices like vBond, so this identity certificate is being used as authentication, and it's going to present its own identity certificate, which is being signed by the CA. And as other devices also have this root certificate of our enterprise CAs installed, so this certificate, which is signed by this CA, will be trusted by everyone, because all are using the same CA, which means, and all have the same root certificate, which means automatically you are going to trust each other. So that's the process in 3 steps. The steps look simple, 3 steps, but as we progress, there will be a lot of options we'll be doing here. So let's start with the step 1. So in the first step, what I'll do is I'm going to add the root certificate on the vManage. Now to do this, I need to get back to my CS server, so which is on 192.168.15.33, or you can see from here. So I'm going to use it from this one. This is my server here. So let's get back to my CS server, and from here we need to log in. So open your local certificate. So if you remember, once we install the certificate, we need to go to the web browser. So I prefer using Mozilla. You can also use that, or you can use Google Chrome, other options. So we need to say local host cert SRV. That's the first option. We need to browse. Either I can type in the IP address like 192.168.10.5 and the cert server, or we can simply say local host. So once I give this option, this is what you will see. Now here we need to download the root certificate. So there will be an option called download the root certificate. Now this is your certificate services page. So once you click on this download option, now we need to select the format here, encoding method. So we'll be supporting base64 format. Select that base64 format, and then you need to click on download the CS certificate option. So click on this download CS certificate. Now this will provide you the location where you want to save. So default location, anyway, it will use. The default name will be certnew.cer. That's a format. So I'm going to click OK. So now I will open up the folder where this particular certificate is being saved. So let's open up the folder here from here. And this is in the download section. Now this is the file. Now what I'll be doing is just to differentiate, I'll be renaming this file. So you can go ahead and rename this file, because later on we'll also be downloading some certs from vManage as well. So they all use the same name, so there will be some confusion in that case. So I'm going to say root CA, some name as a server. So give some name so that it will be easy for us to differentiate. So once we define this, now what I can do is I can open up this with a notepad. I can quickly go and open up with a notepad, and I need to copy that code inside that. So I'll be using a notepad or WordPad you can use. Just click OK. And we need to copy this one. So simply Control C or just copy this one. Okay, so you can either close this or minimize. Better you close it, because I don't want many changes to happen in that. So now what we did is we downloaded the root CA, but the next step, now once we do this, now we need to go back to the vManage, right? So what is the next step here? So the first step, we need to download the root certificate from the CS server. We did that. Now we need to add this root certificate inside the vManage, because we discussed that the root certificate will not be present by default if you are using Enterprise CA. So we have to do that. We have to install that. So let's go back to our vManage portal. Go to our vManage portal. Already I have opened up this. So I need to get back to the administration option. Under the administration, we need to get to the settings. There is an option called settings here. I think I'm already on that page. And here, the first thing what we have to do is we need to select the method. What method we'll be using. So if you remember, we discussed these things. What will be the controller certification method? The default, it selects Cisco public infrastructure, which is automated one. But in our case, we are not using that. So in case, if you want, you can use that, which is a recommended option. In my case, I'll be using the Enterprise CA. So we need to make sure that we are selecting this Enterprise CA option. Now, once I select that, it is going to ask me the confirmation. Do you want to proceed? Because we'll be using this option. Now, whatever the code we have copied, if you remember, we have copied that particular code. We are going to paste this code here. So whatever the root certificate code, we are going to paste it. And after that, if you scroll down, there will be a couple of options we need to select. So I'm going to say set CSR properties here. And once I set the CSR properties, there will be a few options it's going to ask, like what is a domain name. Now, the domain name, you can just give any name, like in my case, I'm saying Envoy local. And then the organization name, by default, it is Envoy. So I'm going to leave it as it is. And you can add the other details like city and the state. You can add those details. So in my case, I'm just leaving it to the default, and any other details like email, you can add these things. Okay. So the country code, I think I don't need. I can just skip that one. It's a 2-letter country code. So next thing, let's add the country code as AF, and then validity. I have changed this to 3 years, the validity of this. And you can click on import. Of course, we have to add one more thing, the organization name. So organization name, let's say Viptela. So this is kind of options. You can add these options. Make sure that you enter these options here and click on import and save. Now the prerequisite again, you need to make sure that before you do this process, we have organization name is configured and also the vBond. And then the controller certificate option will be using enterprise option here. So this is your step one. In the step one, what we did is we have copied the we go to the CA and we have copied the root certificate. We need to download and open with Notepad and copy that. And then I'm going to paste that inside my vManage. Now this is the process to install the root certificate. So this is a kind of prerequisite setup you have to do in enterprise CA. This is only required on enterprise CA, but whereas in the other methods, probably the root CA certificate will be pre-installed. So you don't need to do this process in the other methods except the enterprise CA.